Welcome back, everybody, to the PCN Podcast. This is your host, Cage, alongside eKsiSLe and Cazbon. If you guys want to say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Oh, no.
Please stop with the accent. Oh, we jokingly did a couple of accents earlier, and Kaz has taken it to heart that that's what he's going to do.
We now have an Irish Cazbon. I don't know how
The
long
Irish
that'll last.
Cazbon.
God.
Fun.
This is episode 10 of the PCN Podcast, and today's going to be a little bit different. We are doing PCN's best of the best. Essentially, what this is, we think these are the top 5 players in each position that can just walk into any team if they're in these positions. These guys are just, as said, the best of the best, and we'll go through our list, tell you why. If we have any disagreements, or if anyone has disagreements, please let us know, and we'll be sure to address it further on. Um, Getting started though, we have our number one goalkeeper in Dre. Being a teammate of his after playing with him for this season at least, the guy's an absolute demon. Actually, I'll let you talk more on him, but to sum up for me, he just makes incredible saves, and he's a big game player, and he saves Madrid when we need him a lot of the time. Exile, if you want to continue on.
Yeah, I mean, what would a podcast be without me talking about Real Madrid? So that's great. Thanks for the bump set, and then I'll
Can
strike
talk
it
about him.
home. No, Dre, honestly, and Kaz, you actually have a little bit of experience with Dre as well, a couple seasons, I believe. To be honest, Dre is as good as it gets. I mean, I've had some great goalkeepers on my but Dre has been absolutely monstrous. I mean, his ability to play in the 1v1 scenario is unreal. I mean, he makes saves that he has no business saving. I think back to that save that he had even in this preseason cup against RVP where Dre was dead to rights. RVP was in the box. I think he was at the 6, and he just hit it, and Dre dove to the right and saved it, just stoned him. And it was insane. But, I don't think there'd be anybody else at the top of that list. I mean, Jack might be close, but come on, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, Dre was who I picked on my list. And kind of in looking at it, um, Real Madrid winning the Super League and him being such a big part of it, and then seeing the season he had start, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. Mm-hmm. But of course, you start asking yourself questions like, what about Jack? What about strikers? Like, how do these guys get knocked off? But I think what it is for me that makes Dre stand out is his past as a defender. He knows what's going on in front of him much better than a lot of other goalkeepers, I think, that don't have that experience. And also, like when he's playing smalls, he gets up there at striker, and so he kind of has an idea of what strikers are doing. You know, he was trained by APOC, who's, probably one of the better 1v1 goalkeepers that we've ever had in PCN, and it shows with Dre. My experience playing against Dre last season, we played Real Madrid and could have won, and eKsiSLe's exact words was Dre saved us.
Yeah.
He's one of those goalkeepers that can sit there all game and not have to make one save, and then he makes that save that you need. You see a lot of goalkeepers that are good when they're making tons of saves all game, like when they're getting peppered. They stay in it, but how do you stay in it when you're not doing anything one game, and then suddenly you're asked to do a one-on-one? It's hard to wake up, and Dre has that capability.
Yeah, I mean, he's always awake, and it's the amount of times he's saved us this season, and even last season. I remember, playing against Madrid. He really was a big not taking anything away from the other Madrid players, but he is really a big reason why Madrid won that title and why we're in first right now. And as you said, it's just his journey starting as a defender. A lot of people, I think he started his goalkeeping career in that was it the Euros with England?
England, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
World Cup,
And
but yeah, World Cup.
people didn't give him a chance, I'm pretty sure, after that, but I think you did, eKsiSLe, after that tournament. People were writing him off, but
Yeah.
he performed.
Yeah, so I saw him play for England. He was managing the team actually, and I had a chat with him after that final. I think they lost. They took third or something, but it was a game in which Dre had. I think he had a triple save, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I'm sure he'll correct me. But it was insane. So I played goalkeeper my entire life. I played at a semi-professional level. Like I've watched a lot of goalkeeping. I've played a lot of goalkeeping. He made plays that like shouldn't happen in a video game, but they happened, and he just kept doing it. It was insane. And so I said to him, you know what? Like, I don't usually make that kind of leap. You know, getting rid of Jack, who was on my team at the time, and had actually offered to come back to the team, but I had already promised Dre that I would take him on, and so I stuck with Dre, and it's obviously paid off. I mean, he's been incredible. So thanks, Dre.
Yeah. And he obviously sits at number 1 in this list, and I personally feel like 2 through 5 on the rest of this list can be rearranged in any sort. I don't think either of these guys are better than the other. I think they're all literally just as good. But at number 2, we have kind of a newcomer in Schmimpy who went to Orlando. Now, some people might argue with this because he just made a big move to Orlando, and there could be like Jack or strikers you could put at that number 2 spot. But after seeing Schmimpy, he's one of those goalkeepers. There are a lot of goalkeepers in PCN that do that cheating tactic where they try to cheat where the guy's going to shoot and all. Graphics is really good at that, I've noticed. But for whatever reason, this guy, like, he reminds me of strikers in a bit. He kind of gets in your head by cheating a lot. And, he's been big for Orlando this season. And whenever I've seen him play in those BYOTs and all, he's been a really good goalkeeper. Like, better than a lot of I've seen. Kaz, if you have any words about him.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience, I think, playing against him. We didn't get to play Orlando before I dropped down to Spurs this season. But I played against him in like BYOTs and friendlies and such like that. So I don't have any personal experiences with him, kind of like I do with Dre. But what I can say is that, being a team of the week and team of the season voter for the last couple of seasons, that before him making the leap to Super League, he was always up there. You can kind of gauge after looking at the stats over a long period of time, no matter where a team's at on a table. Like, this guy's mid-table, but he's making all these saves, and then save to goal ratio and stuff like that. And he was always one of those guys that was just there. You know what I mean? And frankly, I'm surprised it took him this long to move up. Maybe I don't know him personally, so I can't speak to that. But he's one of those guys. His actions are speaking louder than words. He's not, just like Dre, he's not in the middle of Discord reminding everybody how good he is. He just does his thing, and he is a clown. I've seen him do that, but it's not in a toxic fashion, as far as I'm concerned. If anybody knows differently, please tag me.
Yeah.
So my first interaction with Schmimpy, and I agree with you. I think he's probably second. Seaguards is making a bit of a case for himself, I think, this season. But Schmimpy, my first interaction with him was actually with Madrid. We played against Paris, PSG, and it was just a friendly. But the guy was unreal. Like, he was making saves that, like, everybody was just throwing up their hands. And who is this guy? Schmimps? Who's this Schmimps dude? And it was like the whole party was going crazy. To this day, we still talk about that. So that's the kind of like coming out party that players like APOC had, right? In the marquee matchup with who was he on? America, right? Club America. They have these coming out parties, and it's like that was Schmimpy's to me, because immediately after that he was on my radar as a player to watch, because it's not like we were peppering him with shots. This was a thing where, we were making incisive passes, cutting back, finding a nice pass out wide, and then slotting it. And he was there every time. It was frustrating. But the amount of times that we said the name Schmimpy or Schmimpster or Schmimps was unreal. So
I'm from the South, so I just say shrimp.
I don't know what it's about, but it doesn't matter. We all said it, and like it's catchy enough that we all remembered who he was. And so later in the seasons, we followed his career. So that's cool. Good for him. He's been great, honestly, for Orlando.
Yeah, seeing him come up, and his story is a little bit. People might write him off at number 2 in this list because, like, oh, League 2, League 1, then Super League or whatever. But I think that's first off what this whole thing is starting off in a low league if you haven't gotten recognized and building your way up, and that's exactly what he did. Even so, just because you're down there doesn't mean you're bad. Like this guy has been consistent this whole time, like Kaz said. He just didn't get a look, and he finally got his look, and he's showing why he's one of the best right now. So kudos to him. Number 3 right now we got Seaguards from Swansea, or he used to be TBM if I'm not mistaken. He's another. I played with him a couple times when just in some friendlies and stuff. Man, oh man, like the saves he makes are unreal. Like I know we're gonna say that about all these goalies, but him in particular, to me, I think I could easily see him being number 2 in this list because his game IQ, his game awareness, I don't know if he's played as an attacker before or what, but when you're going in for a shot and like you have one way to go, he will be there. He doesn't cheat right away. He cheats like as the guy's gonna shoot, and he saves it. He makes these crazy saves, and I sit there. I'm like, dude, how does no one like pick this guy apart? Just shoot near post on him or something, and people will do that in the same game, and he's there. I don't know, like XL, if you have too much to talk about him, but to me, he really is one of the best, and I could see him being second on this list.
Yeah, I honestly don't have too much interaction with him. However, what you just described just sounds like a save. It doesn't sound like cheating. Like when he gets there as he's kicking it, it's like what you've described is a save. But I understand what you're saying. It feels like he's cheating because he's waiting till the very last minute and then he makes it and he just happens to be there. I get that. It just the way you said it made it sound like
I'm not good at describing.
Right the way I'm
cheating
going.
would be pausing it right before. That's cheating.
You guys know what I meant, man.
Yeah, no, we did. I'm just razzing you. So yeah, I mean Seaguards. I mean, obviously I messed up his name, so it's not a thing for me, but it seems to be a thing I do for most players. Sorry about that. He's doing bits for Swansea. To be fair, this season. I mean, I know this is a larger scope, look at these players, but he's definitely been one of the top ones for several seasons. I mean, so it's difficult to remove him from that list, especially after the season he's had.
Yeah, Seaguards, TBM, DZ Koza, whatever you want to call him. I trialed him last season. My last season with Monaco, and for whatever reason, it just didn't line up. I actually think I picked another goalkeeper before him, just because of like showing up more and just kind of gauging interest. Nothing against the goalkeeper I picked, but with the season that he had that season, it turned out to kind of not be the best decision. But like he's a guy that when I throw together last minute BYOT teams, he will jump in with me. And most of the time, none of the guys on my team know who he is. And then he starts carrying. And these guys are like, who the hell is this guy? Because I guess none of them really pay attention to like the other leagues. Some of these guys are in League One and stuff like that. And anyway. And he literally will just carry the BYOT team, and just another thing about him, similar to Dre, he plays striker in his spare time.
Well, didn't he play for LAFC? Didn't he play for LAFC that one season?
Yeah, he did.
Where he scored
had a real
like a ton
team.
of goals. I can't remember. But yeah,
he literally played striker for them at for a season.
Yeah.
I think, and then went back to goalie. He went goalie, striker, goalie.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. It makes sense then how he's so adept at shot stopping. It makes sense.
He just reads the strikers, honestly. If there was a word to describe his play style.
For sure.
And he, another one. Don't see him too much in Discord. I can't speak to whether he's humble or not because I don't know him. But he doesn't get in there and remind everybody how good he is. So
yeah,
I actually had him second, to be honest. But
yeah, me too, actually. But
only because this is Shrimpy's first season in Super League.
Shrimpy,
honestly,
it's certainly not Shrimpy.
It'll never. I don't.
I'm from the South. It's Shrimpy.
I did.
I
call
just
him
had some shrimp
shrimp
etouffee,
I
by
don't,
the
I
way.
don't know what you being
Tasty.
from the South has to do with you being unable to read. Is there a
Yeah.
correlate there? I don't know.
Wow.
It
Oh,
says
wow.
schmimpy. It's right there.
Shade. No,
Schmimp.
that was worse than shade. That was shots fired. All
You're
right.
about to get
Oh,
assaulted by other
yes.
guys from the south.
It's not shots fired.
Oh,
It's
no,
just
thank you.
schmimpy. It's spelled schmimpy. Anyway,
Hmm.
I think
Moving
Moving on.
it
Moving
doesn't
on.
matter.
Has his
You want to really
illiteracy.
know who my number 3 was?
Yeah.
Who?
L-Star.
Hmm.
A guy that gets no love. Kind of going back to being a team of the week voter and everything. I know we're not going to talk about him because he's not on the major list. But this guy consistently, he's been playing for Man United, and I think he's been on every single team of the week or team of the season list for like the past 3 seasons. Always in a top
Yeah.
2 or 3. In some of these cases, we only have 3 goalies that qualify, and he's there. And I think it's a classic case. Like his teams usually lower in the table, give up some goals, but the dude's excellent, But obviously, lack of clean sheets, giving up a lot of goals because your team isn't as great. We also see what having a good defense can do for a great keeper. It makes them even greater.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
and
L-Star,
especially in the
shout out.
goalkeeper position, like there's so many good ones. All-Star graphics as well could have made this list
absolutely.
easily.
Hmm.
Even Unlucky Masters could have, or AJ, he could have slid his way in here too. There's just so many to pick from, but these guys are the ones we just thought were like the best. But that's not taking away from those other guys like Elstar and Graphics. Like they're good goalies. Like there's nothing against them, but we just think
Absolutely.
these guys are just
Yeah.
among the best.
Didn't
I'm just
L-Star
plugging
move
my
to?
votes.
Didn't he move to Atlanta this
Yeah,
season?
he's at Atlanta now.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I remember seeing him. I'm like, we've only played Manchester United once, I thought, but we've seen
Yeah, I
him
thought he
twice.
was there, but yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
quick
he's
shout
good.
out to
He's
him.
good. He's certainly a goalkeeper that I have taken notice of, but I know he's not on the list. So let's move on.
Yeah. Number 4. And as I said prior, I just want to say 2 through 5 could easily be mixed about. We have Jack, Jack 13, Jackie Boy, the Leon man who then went to Madrid, then
Mhm.
Benfica and such. Um, I don't. There's not too much to say about Jack, man. I mean, he's just a really good goalie, and he's one of the guys who he can see himself being easily top 1. The only reason why I didn't have him top 1 is just lack of games this season at least, but he had like this unreal record where he won a trophy a season up until this season, I think. Starting from Lyon, whenever he started with Lyon, all the way to Benfica's, I think it was our Royal Cup season because he was with us. He won something all the time,
He's the team of
and
the year goalkeeper as well.
yeah, like and that might be shocking. Like, why the hell is the team of the year goalkeeper not first? Um, it's just because Dre's been just crazy good, but there's nothing to take away from Jack. Jack literally could walk himself into either of the top 3 sides, honestly.
Yep.
He's that good.
Mhm.
He does have a little bit of toxicity to him, but I think that's what makes him kind of special among the rest. He has that flair about him that a lot of teams like, some don't like, but
He
you know,
does, but he's not like that though. That's what's funny is like he's like that publicly, but you get him on the
yeah, but
team and
not.
he's actually quite cordial. He's funny.
Oh, he's a great
Yeah,
teammate
he's
too.
a
Yeah,
great teammate. It pisses me off. Like, sorry about the soapbox here, but it pisses me off that he and Jack and Isco God or Golden whatever.
so
I
Bob,
hate that they act like this in public Discord and then they get in the private ones and they're like actually good dudes and good teammates and all this shit. It's like it's such a weird dichotomy that they feel like they have to, I don't know, prop themselves up that way to make themselves feel
see what
better.
you're
I
saying.
don't get
You
it.
might have to explain to the crowd what dichotomy means.
Yeah, I don't know what it means either.
Uh,
To be honest.
okay, so there's a discrepancy between the 2 points, right? You have
I understand.
good person and you have kind of bad person, and the
Which
dichotomy
one's the real
is the
one?
difference between them. There's
Where
also a
did the
delta between them, which is the distance between. So anyway, continue.
Moving on, that's what he was saying. But yeah, Jack is like one of those kind of two-faced guys in the Discord. He comes off very toxic and
Mm-hmm.
um self-bearing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't there's nothing I can say about Jack that you guys haven't already covered. He's a serial winner. He's another one that makes saves that out of nowhere you shouldn't save. Most of the goals I see scored on him are either sweats or rebounds, to be
Or
honest.
bundles.
Yep.
Yeah, or bundles. Obviously coming off a team of the year. I think the only reason he wasn't higher up on this list and possibly my list is because he's not playing this season. So I think that kind of takes away from the ability to vote for him.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. It does, because this season is as competitive, if not more so, than previous seasons. So if you're not in this season, it's difficult to give you credit for being in a not competitive setup.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jack. We love you, buddy, but
yeah, we do love you.
Stop being
but
terrible.
We well, that too. And at last in our list we have strikers, and people might think being dead last in this list is like a bad thing, but I think we all understand how good strikers is. Like if there's not much like I don't even have words for it. Like the guy is literally insane. I mean, I remember playing with Benfica against Celtic on his like weird return season. I think he had 13 saves in a Super Cup match. 13. Um, he if there's one guy that can win you a game single-handedly, I think it's him. You know, a lot of guys think that would be like your attackers or like your midfielders or your center backs. I genuinely think he can be a one-man team at one point. If you're just getting like onslaught press, shots bombarded, like he can keep his cool and make those saves. Um, and I think he's the best player in the league at getting in your head in a game. I can say from experience, the amount of times I come up against strikers and I think he's gonna come up for a cross and he doesn't, and I shoot it, and all these things combined. That's just me too. I'm sure others have their experiences, but I really think he's just super, super quality. eKsiSLe, you had him with Madrid for a little bit, I think.
Yep.
If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, he was a fantastic player. I don't think I would have him on my list, if I'm honest. I think he doesn't care as much, I think, about the game. Probably, I think he's less than committed to being that top tier talent that he was, because this kid was quite literally would have been the team of the year goalkeeper for 2 years ago, but you know, he had that whole ban, and unfortunately he was no longer eligible for it. But he was playing like 5-6 days a week in competitive leagues, you know, 3 different leagues, and I mean, it was insane how much he was playing this game, and he was dominant. I mean, absolutely dominant, and I don't see that from him. I haven't seen that from him in 2 or 3 seasons, if I'm honest. Like he still shows sparks of it. It's there, but it's not there. It's not really there. So
that's pretty much the same assessment
for me. Maybe for me, top 15, but top 5 I think is an insult to graphics. I think it's an insult to even L-Star maybe, who I didn't even think about, which is my fault. But Strikers is and was a great goalkeeper, but I don't know. To me right now,
had we done this early last season, he'd have probably snuck into my list, but he played for me as well, and not like talking shit, but in discussions with him, like he's got life happening, you know, he's got a little bit older since he started this, so he's not as committed. And you know, I think maybe part of it's being kicked out of the Discord, so he lost kind of like the social aspect of the community.
Yeah.
And
certainly
kind of said, forget this. Not taken away from his skills, but it's definitely not the strikers of old.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And
but congratulations to making the list.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking shit about him. That's not the thing here. It's like I'm being very real about what I believe is a talent that was the best talent at that position. And I think you might be right, Kaz. It might be that he's out of the Discord, so he doesn't feel connected anymore. And I'm sure he felt that way. And he has come to me very recently and asked to come back in. You know, it's not something we're really entertaining right now, as far as I know. But you know, it's the kind of kid that like is really good, very talented player, but you don't play for a while, you lose it. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Fair assessment. I mean, yeah. But that was your goalkeepers, your top 5 goalkeepers, we think, in PCN. Moving on to CBs. I honestly think this first one's a no-brainer, and I do think there are a lot of really good CBs. If I had to give shout-outs to people on this list, I'd give shout-outs to that aren't on this list. I'd say, Austin, Classy, Tiago, these guys are literally top quality CBs that could get in this list, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If had they been here, or more consistent in terms of Classy and Tiago, and Austin too. I'm pretty sure they all had their times to be busy or they weren't able to play the games.
Mm-hmm.
But getting to our number one player on this list, it is Solar. Um, yeah, he literally is just the best. I know it's been a lot of inconsistency with who's going to be the best CB in the league. A lot of times, at one time it was Footy, one time it was Pep, one time it was Wani. I just think the guy who's been super consistent and just been a rock is Solar. I mean, the guy gets on himself if he just if he gets a tackle and it's a shit animation, but he gets it. Um, he really does care about the game, and he honestly is he's a clamp guy. I mean, I rarely, if not, see anyone dribble past him. Like I don't. That right side that he's on is just always locked down. Exile, if you want to talk about your own player.
Yeah, I mean,
again.
it's Madrid. He's one of those guys that it kind of sucks. If I'm being honest, it kind of sucks being on the opposite side of him because basically everybody thinks I suck. So they go to my side and he still gets good stats. Like that's what's crazy to me is and I do okay, but the funny thing is like they filter more to my side, but yet he still gets really incredible stats because he's a very, very good center back. I mean, obviously he's number one on the list. So, I would definitely put him there too, but I obviously have a bias, so I'm not going to speak too much on that. But he's an incredible talent. I mean, to me, Fuddy and him, when they first started chatting, they didn't like each other at all. Like they jotted each other in the Discord. They didn't like each other. But I don't know what happened. I think we could find out from Fud if we wanted to, or Solar. But they ended up talking in DMs and found out that they have similar interests, and it was like a bromance. And essentially, then they started talking about center backing play, and I think Fuddy at that point took him under his wing and showed him some of the ways that Fuddy played CB. And as we all know, Fuddy was the echelon or upper echelon of center backs in this league. I mean, that guy was unreal. So it's not a surprise to me that having worked with Fuddy on being a center back, now Fuddy handing that knowledge to Solar to see him blossom into who he is. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I had Solar on my list. I didn't pick him number one for amount of Solar was kind of a part-timer last year, so for me that lowered him on my list. I know he missed half a season, stuff like that. It's not a knock on it, but that's just kind of how the mentality when I went into my list. I mean, he's third, but the two above him for me were Wani and Pep. So it's not like he's being shafted. Right. But no, I mean he's unreal. I think he's probably on all managers' lists the first guy to go after. He's probably already gotten 20 DMs for the World Cup. So there's nothing I can say that you guys haven't already said, except it sucks playing against him because I've done it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one guy that you can just count on to lock down his side, it's him. And the next two guys, Wani and Pep, as you were saying, on the list we have Pep as number 2 and Wani's number 3. I kind of want to talk about them as a pairing for a second because, we knew Pep first of all as one of the best center CBs just for how smart he is with his tackles and his aggression. He just times everything super well as a defender, and he really he's also a guy you rarely see get sauce, but him and Wani together it really has been super good for Orlando. I mean, I don't know if Money saw their play styles working together, but those two guys and the way they play and their chemistry, I think it makes them probably the best center back duo in the league. That could be unpopular opinion, but their play styles fit together so well. And when you take two of the top CBs in the league and put them together. And Wani shifted to outside center back, by the way. He was the CCB for Orlando. But then Pep comes in and Wani goes on the outside, and honestly, they've been nothing but great, and they've been consistently great even without each other. Pep consistently getting team of the seasons and winning trebles with Leeds. I know they did that one season, and Wani grabbing up his Super League titles with Orlando as well, being a key piece in that. I mean, Kaz, do you have anything else to say about these guys? You had them as 1 and 2 on your list.
Yeah, in our preseason podcast, I questioned whether Wani would be able to handle it. I kind of knew the answer, but he's proven that he could do it. And kind of what you were talking about, it kind of got me thinking that, in building teams with a 3-back, they always say, like, well, maybe not like the top 5 teams, but all the other teams, it's very hard to find a really good center back. Orlando has 2. And also what happens a lot of times in games is if your center back gets pulled out and your outside center back's in there, he kind of gets scared and doesn't know what to do. That doesn't happen there. If Pep has to go out, Lonnie slots in. It's a starting back line still to go. Plus they have been playing together a lot. They played together on Viva, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, correct,
So, and they play very similar styles. They're probably the 2 most aggressive center backs that I've seen. A lot of center backs, I'll use Large Monty Cow for an example, loves to drop off, where these guys have the balls to step in and try and make that tackle higher up the field. And, that helps Orlando play their style of pressing and getting the ball back. Real Madrid is the same way. Austin is an aggressive center back. So, maybe that's the secret sauce for winning a Super League title. I don't know. But to me, along with Solar, that's a hell of a back line. I don't think you can ask any of those guys to do anything better at this point.
Exile?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't know what to say. Like, to me, Pep being number 2 is interesting. I think he's a fantastic center back. I think the one thing you guys have not touched on is something that I think people overlook, but it's his composure on the ball. Because to me, that I don't think that I would trust any center back as much as I would trust him on the ball. This guy is, it's stupid. Like watching him move. Maybe what was that guy's name? Fuck, I can't even remember. Anyway, not important. But him on the ball is incredible. I mean, watching him move and create space and then pass the ball without effort, it's
not freaking out. I have heard somebody say that about him. It didn't register to me until you just said it right now.
His composure is stupid. I don't know if this guy is just high 100% of the time, or like, I don't know. I've never seen him just go, all right, I'm being the ball as far as I can to get rid of it. It's like, no, he can play his way out of it. He has the comfort level, and just, yeah, his composure is unreal. Wani is one of those guys that I've always really liked Wani as a player. I think he's hyper aggressive. I think you're underselling his aggression, and Austin being aggressive is kind of I don't know. He's tamed it maybe a little bit now since then, but Wani is that kind of guy that I am interested in seeing his progression at left center back if that continues right on next season, because he's been great. He is a great center back. I don't think anybody would argue against that. And Orlando's been great with him and Pep. In fact, I think I said in the preseason podcast that you could put me back there and I would end up being a dominant force, which is probably true. But no, they're great. I mean, they're both fantastic, phenomenal center backs, and in all honesty, it's unfair.
Yep.
To have them both in the same team it's unfair. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know how Money got that to happen, but he did, and it's been nothing but good for them. At number 4, we got Elmo, or DOX Elmo. A lot of guys don't know this guy. He's an former ACL guy, if I'm not mistaken, but he's actually been around here for a while in the league. And, he's a very silent guy. I don't think he talks a lot or too much, but um, if you don't know him, his stats just kind of speak for himself. His availability hasn't been the best, and people see him more of as a utility kind of guy. But I think his main positions are CDM and CB, and this guy, he just performs consistently. Um, there are a couple guys you could put instead of him, like Classy, I guess, could fit in the spot. But you know, Elmo was a part of Orlando's title-winning season 15, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think so, yeah.
That was in their CB crisis, if I'm not mistaken. They need another CB, and he was there for them. And man, oh man, I'm not trying to reflect this one season as a reason why this guy's here, but he he's a big reason why they won that title, and he's been super consistent. Otherwise, I mean, he's on Celtic now, and they're over there kind of balling out. So
They've only
he's not a
allowed
player.
12 goals.
Yeah, he's not a player many people look at, but he definitely is one of the best in this league. And you just gotta give time to see it, I guess. You gotta really, because he's a guy who's really really good after playing with him. If you guys have anything to say about him,
He doesn't talk a lot,
I don't
so
think he talks at all.
right. I don't even think he's in the Discord, so it's hard for people outside of his circle to know who he is. They watch the marquee matchup and they see just another CB. They hear the announcers talk about him, but and that's pretty much it. I've barely seen Docs play, so I just know what I hear from the people whose opinions I trust. So I mean, great CB, especially coming from ACL and people talking about you that much. Kind of the joke sometimes for some of these ACL guys is they're not that good. So, but he comes in and he's top notch. I've never heard anyone say negative things about his play. So,
Yeah, no, I've watched him a couple seasons. Not extensively because again, he's not a guy that's out there and is overt and chatting shit. He just does his job, and kudos to him for going to Celtic because I know he's friends with Sheik, but
and I can confirm Celtic have only allowed 12 goals this season.
which
That's
is
the best in the league.
stupid. Please let somebody score on you. Like what the hell?
Yeah.
No, but in reality, like it's in large part for him. I mean, to me, he always seems like he's winning the ball back. He seems like a ball winning center back, which is interesting. I mean, my fondest memories of him are him dragging out to the outside and winning the ball back from like a winger or outside mid, because he's just always there. And then, I have not watched enough where I could feel confident in giving some kind of scouting report for him, but
right.
He's because he doesn't do anything beyond the game in order to draw me in, I guess. I don't know. There's usually somebody talking shit. Same with our next guy. I don't want to tell you the name yet because the big reveal or whatever you're gonna do. But the bottom line is they don't talk a lot, but they're still putting up great numbers. And I've always been told growing up that good speaks for itself. You don't have to say how good you are because your record, your trophies, that shit will speak for you. You don't have to say a word.
Yeah, and it's going along that. I mean, the next guy we're going to talk about is Zoe Pound V3. But yeah, I don't know, it gets kind of weird when these guys just don't talk at all, but kind of perform so well. You're kind of just like, talk to me at least. I don't know. That's how I feel at least. Like I like talking to the guys in the party. Um, but no, Zoe. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else I can like. I haven't said anything about him, but the guy is just a monster. When I was at Benfica for my 3 seasons, I think him and Classy were arguably my favorite CBs I've seen. If I could, I'd probably put them as 2 and 3 or 1 and 2 on this list, or I'd keep them both at the same place. I mean, they were just that good. Zoe, I don't know how he did it. He played on my side when I was at Benfica playing left mid, and we just, I guess I might have bias because we just connected so well for not saying words to each other, but man, that guy played that outside center back position so good. Like, he just read what the guys were going to do there. He guided them in wherever we wanted. And then offensively as a center back, you see, I don't think a lot of people think about outside center backs being offensively useful. They kind of focus on those three backs sitting back a lot. But, him and Classy both um just helped so much on the offense. they didn't have maybe the composure of Pep, but the passes that they made, the choices that they made, just made him that much better. I really think he's underrated because he doesn't kind of pop his mouth out a lot like Elmo. Um, I don't think he talks in the Discord at all. I don't even think he's in there. But he's a guy I think anyone would want if you just if you look at his stats alone. I think he's been consistently getting tots or been there close enough. He's the guy that a lot of people would want on his team for sure. If you guys have any words about him.
My experience with Zopound, I don't remember what his gamer tag was back then. I didn't realize it was the same guy. Kind of embarrassing, but my first time managing Team USA, Benfica, Chuck brought over some players, and NYCFC Diggs brought over some players. Unlucky Masters was one of them, and this guy that Diggs kept calling Schwami, and that was him, and he was unreal. And it's like you said, when we needed a little bit of offense, he at outside center back, I want to say he came into a game and hit the game winner like right at the end as our LCB. So, and we didn't score a lot of goals that tournament, but we managed to make it to the finals, and it was in large part because of Masters and Schwami. So
nice.
That it?
I'll have to get introduced to him at some point.
Oh, you haven't.
Nope. Never
Nothing about him?
Oh, and he's very loyal to Chuck. So good luck,
yeah.
Real Madrid.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
that's not what I mean.
It's a joke.
That's not what I mean. I just mean I haven't been introduced to him even in passing, just as a cordial communication pathway. Like I chat with Klossy and K24 or whatever. I chat with him, I chat with other players. They're not signed for me, but I still talk to them.
yeah.
But I've never talked to him before.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy you must get used to because he really is one of the best in this league. Yeah, but that'll close up our top center backs in the league. Moving on to honestly one of the hardest positions to pick for top 5, as weird as that may seem for DMs. There are a lot in this league that are literally top quality. But one we can't take away from is the reigning Ballon d'Or holder, DM9.
DM9.
I mean, he should change his gamer tag,
DM9.
honestly.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I
he
don't
should.
think his initials
DD?
changed just because he's a DM, but maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what his gamer tag's off. Just there really isn't too much to describe about him. I mean, the guy, alongside his insane 3 seasons he had with Orlando in gaining that Ballon d'Or, the guy holds 4 records, if I'm not mistaken, for PCN as a defensive mid. And I think that's the most records held by a player at all in the league. So if that doesn't say everything, I don't know what does. I mean, the guy is literally just a dominant force at that DM role. A lot of people credit it to him and Lake as a duo ship, and I'm not taking anything away from that duo ship because they just complement each other so well. But he is the best, and I don't think he will lose that title for a while.
Yeah.
He's just. I think he's a player everyone and anyone will want in their team, and I don't think anyone would deny that.
For sure.
eKsiSLe, if you want to go into it.
I mean, I feel like we've gone on and on about CM9, but we could have a whole podcast about his origin story and how he came into the league and how the that Chelsea team and all the things that happened leading up to his Ballon d'Or. But I mean, in reality, there is nobody who is as good at that position as CM. I mean, it's just not a thing. I know people talk about Pony. I know there's a thing there, or Diego, whatever they call him.
Diego.
And he's a fantastic player, Berserker. But I'm sorry that I just, maybe I'm a homer for PCN players more so, even though Berserker played here. To me, CM9 is the guy. I mean, he has done it consistently, season over season, and he will continue to do it, it seems like. Geez. I mean, I don't even know what to say, honestly.
There's not much to be said about him.
Yeah.
Talking about his DM partner, Kaz, you can go into a little bit about Lake. I know you've had your experiences with him. I mean, just how good is he?
So since I switched back to DM this season, I actually watch his games back to see what I need to do to get better. Believe it So that's kind of like my plan. It was Kufavelli's idea. Not taken away from CM9 by any means, but I think I like to play more of Lake style than CM9's. Not sure which one I'm better at, but anyway. Lake, I love him, man. He's also one of those guys that like I'm throwing together a BYOT team, and it doesn't matter who's on the team, he comes and plays. So it's not like, oh, well, you don't have Evo up top, so I'm not coming, stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's super aggressive. I I just love the way he plays, and I think Orlando's high press has a lot to do with him. And he's just always, whether it's the right or the left side, front or back, he's always there for that
he's just
frickin'
there.
pass.
Yeah.
And he always guesses which way the right that the player is going to turn. Now, obviously, guys, like, it's not every single time. I'm saying always. But, he, I think him and CM are just like the perfect tandem as well. They both do the best at their style of DM, but then you put them together and it makes it much better. Now, look, there's other guys that are about to come up on this list that are coming up to that level. I'm not saying that they're on their own level, but I mean, they've been doing it together for so long. It's hard to like come into this and say, well, they need to do this better or do that better. They're a team, and they're both apply their trades the best that they can. So,
Can't really take away too much from those two. Arguably the best DM tandem in the league. I think 3 and 4 rival that, and having my bias, I do think in terms of singular players, I think CM9 has it at DM. In terms of tandems, Lazo X and GFETs have literally been so utterly dominant defensively and offensively. I I think they're the best duo together. I'll go into them separately in a bit, but I'll be honest. Season 6, what was that? Season 16, yeah.
16, yeah.
Jeez, I had a brain fart. I'll be honest. I didn't really rate Madrid's defense that well. I only rated Solar, and that was it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Sorry, but man, oh man, Madrid goes on this just crazy run of games, and you're like, how? Everyone I talked to wondered how Madrid did so well with that defense because no one thought your defense was good. I'm sorry.
I know they actually accredited it to me not playing, which is fantastic. I played 28 games, assholes. God damn. But it's fair.
I think not taking away anything from you, like
No,
they obviously took components, but Alonso X and GFETs were arguably the train that like they won the ball so many times. Defensively they were rocks. Offensively they were contributing so much. I mean, I'm smiling so much because I don't understand how they work so well together. I mean, Lazo X has been, in terms of numbers, right behind CM9, and that's not easy. CM9's been putting up some stupid numbers, and Ekis, as we call him, has been right there alongside with him. A lot of people kind of see him as like G Fet's partner because I think Fet's a little bit well known in the league to some people. But no, I mean he's just a tank of his own, Ekis, and Fet's as well. Fetz is such a nice player to have because not only is he one of the best DMs in the league, he's one of the best utilities in the league. I mean, the guy can play anywhere and be consistent just because he understands the game and he keeps it simple. I mean, I just went on a little rant of myself right there. I'm sorry, but those guys are just so good, in my opinion, that you can't not give them the credit. XL, if you want to talk about your own two players.
Well, first I want to talk a little bit about Lake because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm going to gloss over Lake because, despite him posting weird memes about me on a rat's body and calling me the worst player on my team, which I agree with,
means you're doing a good job.
I think he's actually really good. To me, I don't have any problem with him being at second on this list. I think that's probably where he should be. The thing that I want to see from him, and maybe that's different, maybe it won't happen, I don't know, but I would like to see like a full PCN season without that tandem and see how well they do, right? Not because I don't think Lake can do it, because I think he can, and I don't know if CM can do it, but I think he can, right? But it's seeing that tandem work is magic, right? It is magical for sure. But I would like to see that not in the same tandem, so that we can actually identify the qualities that are there for each one of them. Because I've watched a lot of film on CM9 and Lake, and they both do very different things for the team, but they're both integral into what is necessary. And when I'm looking for DMs, right, it's not a shock to me that 10 or eKs is who he is. I mean, he's an incredible player. He's been that way since before he came to my team. But it's not a surprise to me that Fetz is there, because I put him at DM on purpose. That wasn't by mistake. We saw qualities in him, Goatless and I, and Fuddy too, to give him credit. But we wanted to put him in a position where he could be that kind of counterbalance for eKs, because eKs is an incredible ball winner. I mean, his tackle counts are insane. That's just what he does. He's a tackle machine. He will break any play up with the tackle.
Well, it's the same. It's the same thing as with Lake and CM9, right?
Yep.
And when I played for you, and I was trying for DM, your words to me were you and Will are the same type of DM, and it proved true. eKs does phenomenal jobs at his style of DM. Betty is a great ball winner, but let's just face it, he's not the same type of DM as eKs. Fetty can get forward as a cam if you want him to. And when I watch you guys play, a lot of times the outlet is to Fetty to keep that rotation going and then to get also out of a tight situation. So it's proven that to have probably a top defense or even offense in this league, you can't have two of the exact same type of DMs. And I think any experienced manager knows that, and any manager that's wondering why they have two great DMs and it's not working, they should probably look at that. I just Fetty's played on my team. You're right, he could play anywhere, man. And but he excels at DM in my opinion, especially alongside somebody like eKs.
Yep.
I think Fetty would play great alongside a CM9 or a Lake, to be honest. But Real Madrid plays a different style FIFA than Orlando. So your tandem works for your style. I don't think we could take both combos and swap them and they would be as effective in each other's team. I really don't.
Yeah.
So
after playing in a system for so long, I mean, I don't think either or would do, like, you mean Lake and CM9 and Fetz and eKs have been in their respective systems for like 3 seasons. So to take them away and swap them would be difficult. But we can only applaud them for how good they've been at where they've been. So moving on to our last DM though, we have Loco, and a lot of guys might try to question this and be like, oh, Loco, because some people don't rate Loco that well.
Are you going on a walkabout? What is this?
I'm just closing my door. I'm sorry. Some people don't rate Loco. I do. I've played with Loco in season 14 with Juventus, and people are just starting to take notice of him now because he's having not a breakout season, just he's having a really good season, and I don't think people give him enough credit. I mean, the guy he's never really had a DM partner with him, right? Everyone's been always swapping alongside him, and it's really hard as a player to be consistent, constantly having someone new next to you in a position. As an outside mid, I kind of have to get used to, if I was him, that would be having like a new striker partner, Cam, or LCB or LDM all the time. He has to deal with a new DM partner all the time, which is hard to do, honestly. And for him to be as consistent as he's been for the last 3, 4, 5 seasons is incredible. And I don't think he's gotten the recognition he deserves. And I think this is a perfect place to give it to him. He is a damn good DM. And he could walk into any team, honestly. I think he could fill in some of these positions where, like, eKs and Fetz are. I don't think he's gotten many opportunities because when you have two set-in-stone DMs like these two top teams have, it's hard to make your mark. But, I think he's gotten his chance at Swansea, and, that's a team that's second and third right now fighting for a first-place spot. So, kudos to him for finally getting his recognition.
Well, Loco, as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, if y'all know before this, I didn't know who he was until he was the co-manager for Juventus the first season that Italiano kind of had to step out. And I remember Italiano telling me about him, and even though that team was kind of thrown together with players, most of whom I'd never heard of, they were still really good. So that's when I figured out who he was. And then he trialed for my World Cup team, and I just remember thinking, this guy's really fucking good. And when we had a conversation at the time, he wasn't actually sure how much effort he wanted to put into pro clubs in general. So I think he was starting college or starting a job. I'm not sure, Loco, if I got it wrong. Sorry, but that makes a difference in your play. And I think he ended up being a backup that tournament. So him busting onto the scene, I guess you could say now, probably has a lot to do with him making that commitment, and also not being in the middle of Juventus and whatever was going on over there at the time. I'm not sure who he played for before last season, but it has a lot to do with what you already said, Kay, just some consistency. And I think a lot of that was due to kind of him finding his place, finding his footing. And now that he has, he's reaping the rewards. He was on my list as well. And I was definitely putting him on my list. I think these 5 guys, there are other great DMs, but there's something about these guys. They have the total offensive and defensive side. A lot of other DMs are lacking one or the other. I lack offensive side badly. It's not saying none of these guys can do both, but can you do both at DM when you've got Real Madrid or Orlando's press on you? Can you be that composed and pass the ball out when you have no freaking room? And for me, all 5 of these guys can. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I can't add to that. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm sure that Loco is phenomenal. I have not watched him a lot, but I've heard a lot of great things from people. So, he trialed for me once. The trial didn't go well, but that's not his fault. It's probably because we had other people in there that we were eyeing. So I'm sorry for overlooking you, Loco. But either way, I haven't seen a ton of him, but he's doing incredibly well for Swansea. So he's making me notice him now.
Yeah. Those were your top 5 DMs we feel like currently in PCN. Moving on to outside mids. First one's kind of awkward for me to say. I personally, before I get into this, I know I talk a lot on the Discord.
You want me to say it?
You can, but before you do, I put Slick Joey first. I'm just putting that on the records. On my list, I had Slick Joey first, but you can.
Okay, so the number 1 pick, and when I say pick, there was a large group of us that turned in these lists. So it wasn't like, and I don't even think, actually, Cage wasn't the one that tallied it up. I believe Fuji got all of them and tallied it up. So nobody's sitting here, doctored this. And a lot of this stuff may not even be all 3 of our opinions. It could have been everybody else's vote. So,
Yeah.
But Cage was voted the number 1 offensive mid in PCN as of now. And I mean, his numbers speak for himself. He had a blowout season last season, scoring tons of goals from outside mid. Some people wondered if he even played defense.
Are one of those people you?
He had some big shoes to fill, because last season Real Madrid's outside mids were great. And I was wondering, can you fill Slick Joey's shoes? Or Makaro. Cage has come in and done it exceptionally well. He scores when he presses X. That happened to us on Milan. So, he wasn't my number 1 pick, in all honesty, just because of it's been recent, like last season, this season. To me, after that 3rd season is when I'm saying, all right, he's really established. We're going into another FIFA. But see, I also have tried to recruit Cage twice and cut him. So
True.
Speaking of bad managerial choices,
yeah. To be fair, his style he played didn't fit the other guys, because they couldn't play that LB dribbling A ball style, right? They just couldn't. They couldn't
That's
fit
called
what he was
passing.
trying to
They
do.
couldn't pass.
I'm not naming names.
Don't take anything away from
Unwritten.
them.
All right. Yeah. No, I wouldn't have Cage first either. No offense, Cage. I love you, but
No, I mean I
to me,
agree. It's just
to me, it would actually be Dust. As much as I love Slippery Joseph, he's one of my favorite people to manage because he's the kind of player that is a skilled follower but can also lead, which is difficult to find in a person. But he, to me, Dust has been super consistent and
team of the year outside mid.
yeah, I mean Slippery Joseph or Midget Back as he's called affectionately at Madrid. He played a couple of seasons with us, and that's fair. But to me, Dust has been the more consistent of the two. I would probably put you third, Cage, for the same reasons that Kaz mentioned. But I think that you are right there. I think your numbers do speak for themselves, and I do think that for you to have that high of a passing average at 81%, I know it's not that high, but for an outside mid, it is actually quite high. Which is, I think, Money's and Slick Joey's are also 81%. So when you're looking at that, you are right there. You're on the cusp. And so for me, for you to be number one for me moving forward, I would like to see the consistency. And you're doing it from last year to this year, last season to this season.
Certainly the breakout player of PCN. Honestly, like who had a breakout season, or you can call it most improved, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah, I think it's been three
rise to
seasons
fame.
probably, though. He had that kind of that story arc, much like I was just talking about with CM9. He's had that story arc of coming from the bottom, working his way up, getting in with the good players, figuring out what he's doing well, what he's not doing well, correcting those behaviors, and then finding himself in the spotlight on Benfica and showing out, right, and doing his job and doing it as well as anybody in the league. And now he's moved up to Madrid, and hopefully we can live up to that as a team with him on it. So I like to see that story arc, and I don't want you to think that, or the listeners to think that that's like, oh well, that's the upper echelon is just getting to Madrid, then you've made it. But at the same time, coming off of a title win, you were pretty much the only player that I was actively approaching or scouting. I knew I was losing Joseph to management, and that was it. I knew I had Habs at outside mid and you at outside mid. Now, obviously, the Thiago thing happened and he came in, so that worked out, but I was planning on Habs and Cage. And, you almost signed with somebody else, and then that ended up working out for me, and that's positive. But, you've really shown out the last 2 or 3 seasons, and now you are at that stage, I think, where you've proven you can do it. Now it's, can you do it on the consistent level and be that top tier player that you can be at times, right? The consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to say, like reading this list, I honestly didn't agree. I love when people say like, "Oh, I hear you're the best outside mid," all this that, but realistically, I only had maybe 2 good seasons so far in Super League. I had one with my second season in Benfica, and then that breakout season in my third. I obviously want to be the best. That's the plan, but I feel like that's kind of being disrespectful to these guys who've been in this position and have been consistently good, such as Dust. Dust is third in this list. Is Dust the third best outside mid in this league? No chance. That guy's number 1. He won Team of the Year for a reason. Um, Money, he's number 4 on this list. Granted, he didn't play. I think everyone knows how good he is, though. Stats only speak so much, and literally, it's only because the guy didn't play because he didn't want to. When he plays, he was a top outside mid for a reason at the time. He was a top attacking mid for a reason at the time. There's a reason why he was at that Atlanta team and why Orlando had success in his first season. He was able to take a break because he was like, listen, I proved myself to be the best. I don't need to do this anymore. And he just took a break, and now he's back. But to have these guys, like Joey second, Dust third, Money fourth, I really don't agree. I think if we wanted to, we can literally put Dust, Midget, Money, myself, if anything, in that order. Because those guys, to say that they're below me, I know this is all supposed to be super close, but to say they're below me is nowhere near accurate, in my opinion.
I mean, let's throw Belcatraz in there with this
Yeah.
entire group of 5. My personal opinion in PCN is there are very few actually really good outside mids. The drop off between our top outside mids and everything else is huge. And I'm talking about guys that can pass, guys that don't lose the ball, guys that can contribute with goals, guys that can also get back on defense. You know, a lot of your good attacking outside mids can't play defense.
Yeah.
And a lot of your good offensive, a lot of your good defensive outside mids are just left wing backs. So,
Sorry, I had to say
all 5 of these guys on this list have proved for a long time they can do it on both sides of the ball.
I don't think
you know,
Belcatraz has proven it over a long time. I don't want to get out here talking out our asses because Belcatraz is like his first season at outside mid. Like,
maybe
Oh,
put
okay. So
I mean, not maybe.
I
you
didn't know
probably
that.
should.
Sorry.
Schmurda probably. I mean, I had Schmurda on my list. You probably should be putting Schmurda
yeah,
in this list if we're being real.
I love
but...
Belcatraz. Don't get me wrong, great guy.
Oh no, for sure,
great guy. To me, he played center back 2 seasons ago, and now he's in.
Okay.
He made his outside mid
He
switch.
did play outside
last
mid.
season, this season.
Did he play last season? I don't know that he
Last
played outside
season in
mid.
League One.
Did he? Okay, so he played it
He
outside
went to
mid
striker
last
for a few
season.
games, but stayed. Yeah.
But I like that's not disrespectful. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Bell. I know you'll watch this. I love you, but the issue is, I think he's a phenomenal CB and an awesome outside mid. I don't even know if I'd put money there, if I'm being honest. Not because he's an Orlando player or whatever, but because he hasn't been playing much. You know, to be in the same category as Dust or Slippery Joseph, or even yourself, Cage, to me, like you have to play. And he's played about as much as I have over the last 3 seasons, which, you know, other than last season, I really haven't played that much. So it's difficult for me to put money, although I do think Money's an incredible talent. I think he's very, very good at the game. That's not the issue. It's just if we're talking about top 5 at that position, I think they need to have more time played at that position is all. I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion, but
Oh, it's understandable.
That's how I look at it as well. I didn't vote for Bell. I voted for Sergio. Perfect mode.
Yeah, he would probably be my vote as well, although I think he prefers to be a cam anyway. But
yeah, that is his main position. But he can play a damn good outside mid.
But the ultimate point is OM is slim pickings in PCN. So kudos to all you guys, even the names that we mentioned and some of us may have disagreed with, because that means somebody thinks you're top in a very, very slim position. I can tell you that from voting on Team of the Week and Team of the Season.
Every team almost. How are we that slim?
I mean, who would be
I'm
the
talking
team?
about of like top notch.
Like top 2 team, the top 2 top teams in PCN to fit in those positions. That good, you know. And I think these guys on this list can.
As a recruiter for a Super League Champions, you probably haven't experienced this.
Well, hey, hold up, because to me, I think the issue is that like guys who play outside mid for 3 or 4 seasons, then they change, right? And that's the difficulty, is that they move to the inside or striker, cam, whatever, and they want to play elsewhere because the outside can be more like a track meet. And please, Cage, don't make that decision. But you know,
it's not.
It's all about.
It's not a track meet. I wouldn't say that.
No, but that's what happens. Is it gets a little bit.
I mean, some people just get bored of it. I mean,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
That's for another podcast.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, moving on. Those are your top 5 outside mids. Moving on to the top cams of the league. Number 1, I don't think can be disputed at all. If anyone disagrees, then I don't think your head is straight. It's Goat. Goat may not have the goal contribution numbers to prove his worth, but if you focus on stats and decide Goat's not the best cam in the league, I don't think you understand who good players are. I can't even sum up into words how good he is. Literally look at the key passes, and that's all you need to know. The guy has 140 in 55 games. He's on pace to break his own record this season that he set last season. The composure he has, the passes he finds, I mean, I don't think anyone else does it better than him. I really don't. eKsiSLe, you've been playing. You're the one who recruited Goat to your Atlanta team. If you want to get into his,
his story is also one of those of a cool arc. I love those guys. You know, they come up and they work their way. Because I was one of those as well, kind of. I never reached those heights, but you know what I mean. Goatless came from League 2, recruited him. Thanks, Con, for that tip. Uh, Goatless is he's not the guy that makes the assist all the time, right? But he is the
Hockey
guy that
assist.
does the hockey assist, right? He's always there, and that's why you see the key passes off the chart. I mean, the next guy on the list, because they can't see that list right now, okay? So they're not looking at the list, the audience. But Goatless has 55 games played, 23 assists, 140 key passes, right, for an attacking mid. The next closest, that's Andressi, right, would be 40 games played, 13 assists, and 63 key passes. Now, Andressi was out for a half a season, so that's fair. But even if you take Vols, 49 games played to Goat's 55 at Cam, right? Then you take the 15 assists for Vols, and then 62 key passes. Again, Vols is as good as it gets at the position, save for Goatless. I mean, and for Goat to have 140 key passes versus Vols, who is incredibly talented on the ball and can move the ball laterally like nobody. To have 140 key passes versus a 62 it's absolutely mind-boggling. I don't get it, but he's just that good. And I don't want to take any credit for Goat's work. I mean, he deserves where he's at because of his work and his skill. I found him, yes, but he would have been found by somebody else. It was inevitable. Like the combustion engine. There was gasoline in abundance and parts to make it steel. It was bound to happen, baby. They needed that mode of transportation. But for him, like, he was inevitable. Inevitable. But
And
let's
here
move
he
on.
is at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number two is Andressi. There isn't too much to say about him. He was Leeds' focal point at the time when they were just dominating the league, and he was a big reason why they got that trouble. And a lot of people might not rate him now. I have my feelings towards Andressi, but as a pure player, um, he is probably the second best cam in this league. If you maybe he took time off, obviously with the ban and whatever, but if he plays a full consistent season, he he's second best. I can't get anyone past Goatless, but he's right there. The way he plays Cam different style compared to Goat. He plays more of like a center forward, third attacker type deal, and it works. It works really well in the system that they play. So I don't think there's no question he's number two. Uh, Kaz, your feelings on Vols for being number three?
Vols number 3. Um, it's kind of weird how these types of lists work because Vols was almost up for the Ballon Dorsey.
The Ballon Dorsey, yep.
All right,
He
Ballon
he says
Dorsey.
Balloon Dorsey, by the way.
All
And it
right.
sounds like a sex act. If I'm being honest, it's terrible. Go
Hey,
ahead,
man.
Balloon Dorsey. Like, I shall not. But yeah, anyway.
So, but then he ends up 3 on this list, and I mean, that's not to say he's worse at anything, because I think a lot of times people look at these lists and they're saying, well, you snubbed so and so. It's not like that. You can still be a great player and be the key to bring a team to the top. Because look, Goatless got his first Super League title last season. Vols had 2.
Yeah.
So on a very, very dominant Orlando team. If anything, hats off to Goatless for sticking with eKsiSLe through some rough seasons, because he could have gone anywhere. But Andressi and Vols, I mean, both exceptional players. Both of them in playing DM, I can't get the ball off their feet. Yeah. They're type of those players that can literally, they see my foot moving and they drag back or turn, and they see passes all over the field that just most people don't see, and they do it effortlessly.
Yep.
So I know Vols has been playing some striker. I've seen him at outside mid, so he can move around. Like Dressy, I think, moved up to striker. So, I mean, what can I say about these players that everybody doesn't already know, except, they're great, and people know that.
Fair, well said. Another guy that a lot of people didn't think would be probably on this list, I don't think, is Maestro. A lot of people are seeing him now as having like his breakout season, but I think Maestro has always been one of the better players in in his role. He's kind of shifted between outside mid, DM, and Cam. But Cam is his strong suit, in my opinion. At least I don't know if he feels the same way. And I think he's finally showing it now. He got his chance at Benfica last season, but there was a lot of interesting things that happened that didn't let him fully get to where he is now. But when you give him a chance, he will make sure that he makes it worth your while. And he's just taken the utmost at Swansea, and he's just been a sublime player for them. And I think he really is becoming one of the better players in this league at that position. There are a lot of good attacking midfielders, but there aren't great, like amazing, like GOAT Andres Vols. And I think Maestro's getting to that level. If you guys have anything to say about him.
Yeah, I mean, I managed him as well. It's funny to me that 4 of the 5 I've actually managed on my teams, Andressi being the lone that I did not. But Maestro, he's a great player. He didn't play Cam for me, obviously. That would be tough. But he played outside mid, and he is... The hard part is I knew he was not an outside mid, and watching him play, it made me feel like I had to move him, and he would switch with Isco God at the time, because, yeah, I did manage Derek once too, which was fine. But Maestro, like, I could tell that he methodically played Cam because he's slow at outside mid, very controlled, didn't progress play much from the outside, and that was tough because it was difficult to keep him in the side like that. But I'm glad that he's playing Cam, and he's doing a great job because he's killing it this season, that's for sure. So, or at least he was the first half. We'll see how it goes the rest, but...
Yeah, I think he's going to keep up his form. He's known to be consistent. And at that last camp position, a very controversial one is World of Tales, one of the foot rat guys. People might not think or might not rate him because he's been in League One for majority of the time. He was a Madrid player and he played outside mid, but oh man, if you see this guy play, alongside the 2 other known foot rats, I mean, Tails seems like a veteran Cam, in my opinion. You guys might not feel the same way, other people might not. The way he plays, he just creates, and he if you look at his stats on the website, if I'm not mistaken, I think the guy has like 99 assists, which is like the most for a midfielder. Granted it's in League One and through late night league, but I he's one of the special cases where I don't think the league matters. You put him in Super League and he might not get the same numbers, but he will get numbers for you and he will create for you nonetheless. Um Actually, I know you mentioned him, but Kaz, you've seen them play together and you've seen Tails play. What are your thoughts on him?
I mean, Tails is exceptional. I'd like to. He played on left mid, and I tell the story every time I talk about him. He scored from left mid because our goalie stepped thinking that it was going to be a cross, and he just buried it. And a lot of that crew, I think anybody that wants to play devil's advocate will say, well, let's see them without the rest of their guys, right? Tails, we've seen that. And he held his own. Real Madrid was phenomenal last season, and he was a part of that. And
2 seasons ago, he wasn't with me last season.
Especially with his forwards next to him, and playing them. I'm playing DM trying to mark him, and he's a very, very intelligent player. He's that Cam that's always looking for that space. The only other person I can compare him to in that aspect is Golas. He doesn't just fit in the imaginary position of Cam. If you're marking something to try and cover his lanes or cover his mark, he moves, and especially with his guys that he's used to playing with, they all adjust together, and it's very, very difficult to defend. And I think those guys being primarily foot are bringing a different style to our league that we don't necessarily always see, and it's enjoyable to watch. It sucks to defend, but I'm sure it's a hell of a time to play with it because they kind of play like that tiki-taka style, man. They just go for it. I mean, I probably wouldn't have voted him onto this list, just because, kind of like what Exile talked about, time. And because we still have some other like perfect mode, Sergio, excellent cam, been around for a while, but I certainly like my gut tells me he belongs in this
Yeah.
group. So
Yeah, I mean he's a fantastic player. I was talking to him yesterday, I think, and mentioned to him about that exact goal you were talking about, Kaz, the one where goalkeeper stepped out. That's like the tails special, is because it's what people do in FUT, right? As soon as you see the goalkeeper step off his line because he's holding wide to catch the cross, put it in the goal. But with tails, like I agree, I don't think he should be there. As much as I think he is, as far as talent, um, a definitive yes. I don't think he belongs there given the time played and the fact that it's League One. Like I don't care if he played in League One and could play in Super League. He didn't. So to me, he doesn't belong there. To me, he belongs there, but he belongs there as a Super League player, not as a League One player.
League One player.
Yeah, and he didn't play for me last season, Kaz. He played for Sporting. I sent him there on loan, but he was on my roster.
That's
But I do love the kid. He's a great guy, absolute baller, and just such a great kid to have around. Like a good dude. He's funny, chill, keeps the mood light, but like all of the FUT rats, he is probably the lesser of the three when it comes to skilling incessantly, which I think was awesome, which is why I would invite him back to my team, because he doesn't do that unnecessary skill move stuff that you see periodically with the FUT players.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's a good shout at the position. I do enjoy him, but not for this list.
we'd all love to have him on our team.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. It's a fair assessment. That was our top 5 cams. Moving on to our last set, arguably the most one you could have questions about, I guess. There are many good strikers in this league. But number one, and again there will be arguments about this, given arguments we just have proven, is Foot. Um, there's no question Foot is probably the best overall player in this league. I don't think many people will question that. Um, he dominates wherever he goes, really. Um, and he made the move to striker. People kind of doubted him, and he's been nothing but sublime. He reminds me of Kessie. Not a lot of people remind me of Kessie, because Kessie was arguably one of a kind. The guy did everything for Orlando and was a big reason why they were winning. Foot is probably the same way, and I think Foot can skill more than Kessie, if anything. It's just probably his knowledge as being a defender, understanding skill moves. It all just works out well for Foot, and he scores goals, he creates, he really does everything as a striker. He's probably a striker everyone would want on their team and would sit whoever they have there for him. eKsiSLe, if you want to talk about his move to striker.
Sure. I opted to move him there because he is probably the best FIFA player in the league. I mean, yes, that includes Dan, who is top 5 in FUT in this region, but he just does things differently. He's a very, very skilled player, and yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I mean, the guy is anywhere he plays. Again, I still think that the striker thing doesn't really apply, though. I think that he played outside mid and center mid 2 seasons ago. He did play striker last season, and he played striker this season. But he has been in and out of the lineup because of availability. You know, flew over to Portugal to trial for teams, so like he hasn't been here, and it's difficult for me to say yes, he's the best striker that we have in this league. And then looking at the list, it's even more infuriating as time goes on, it seems. But you know, his goals and assists are unmatched. I mean, it's stupid. He may have fewer goals than maybe the next guy, right? But he's basically, if he played the whole season, he's a 20-20 guy, maybe even a 28-25 guy. I mean, that's how good he is. So, I mean, I don't want to sit here and revel about Madrid and how wonderful we are and how we have the best players. That's unfair. It's also stupid. But, you know, let's move on.
Yeah, that's fair. Number two, I know you guys are gonna have questions about this. It's RVP from Sporting. I just want to give my case on this, all right? And I think it's the same thing with Tails. The number two on this list, probably not. Do I think he could fit on this list? I think you can make an argument for him. Yes, they've been in League One and they've been crushing teams there, but I think when you watch people play and you see how they play, you can't really keep them league based. Like, yeah, you have to prove it against the top tier players, but then they have. They have in many other scenarios, not only in PCN and Late Night League. Like these guys have played against the best and they've done the same.
I don't know. Anecdotally speaking, Cage, Dre stonewalled RVP, so maybe they can't do it against the best.
Okay, well
I'm
that's
just
one
kidding.
of the
I
best.
said
I know what you're
anecdotally.
saying.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. It's fine.
But RVP, I mean, playing with him, I didn't think he would be too good without Evan. I thought separately him without the foot rats wouldn't be good, but he slotted in to every BRT I've managed or I've played with. He slotted in by himself, and he's just done a phenomenal job. Kaz, I know you're gonna have some opposing thoughts about this, so let's hear him.
What for RVP?
Yeah.
No. Similar to World Tales, and I'm sure he will tag me and come at me like that. I'll just say like this. As of right now, if I'm going off of like talent-wise, who is the best striker in the league? It would be hard for me not to include him. But he's been in the league for less than a season. He's only played for this FIFA. And look, I'm not knocking you, RVP. But please understand that we have had lots of goalkeepers that were top goalkeepers the second the new FIFA came. They weren't. Or they just left. If RVP has a season next season like he did this season and goes and wins the World Cup, hands down, he would be on the top of my list. But he hasn't done that yet. So talent-wise, do I think he's more talented than pretty much all the strikers in the league and difficult to play against? Yes. But that's not what this list is, right? This list isn't who's the most talented strikers. This list is who are the best strikers. And D-God, Stone, FJ, not so much Footy for me. FJ, Stone, B-God, the rest of the names on this list have played for multiple teams, multiple managers, and always put up great numbers. Footy's an exception to the rule for me because he just really is that good, and we've seen it all over the field. So yeah, REP. Look, if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, he's probably one of the best strikers in the league, probably top 5. But for a list like that, to me, there's more requirements, and that's just a personal opinion.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. This list is for the best of the best, and for some of us he might not fit that criteria, which is understandable. A guy who might is FJ10, who was on Liverpool but made a move to Milan. Long story short about this guy, people think he's really toxic and that he ruins teams, but all that bullshit, whatever aside, he scores goals. He does it well. He's the guy that you can literally give the ball to and he will make a goal happen. And you don't know how, defenses won't know how. He just finds a way to do it. He really is a really talented player, and I don't think people give him enough credit for how good he is. You give him a shot on a team and he will perform. Kaz, I know you had him on Monaco. If you want to say little words about him.
I mean, FJ, when I recruited him, I think he came from Atalanta. He actually approached me. I had Yoshi, Abdeen, and I wasn't sure what I was getting. I just knew that in the trials he showed up for, he was hitting bangers. And at the time, the season before Monaco, we didn't have goal scorers. So I'm like, well, we got Yoshi and Abdeen, who I know are going to put up 30 goals. We got FJ now. We're going to score goals. So and I played a 4-2-3-1, and
Bold
by
move,
like
Cotton.
week 2, FJ had like the most goals on my team and almost like 15 goals or some shit like that. Unfortunately, internal drama, I was forced to do the not so cool thing and drop him. It was a
shocked.
choice between dropping him or losing 3 other players, 2 of them which were top goal scorers as well. So FJ, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I know I've apologized to you many times.
He's not listening. He doesn't care about you.
Yeah, he's proud, but he is one of the most talented strikers in the league as well. I kind of feel bad for him because he always ends up playing for people that don't get him or understand him, and he ends up having to move because he doesn't have the patience to deal with people he doesn't get along with. But the guy is a just natural goal scorer. So I hope he finally finds a team where he can like settle and play. I really do, but I mean top talent, top notch talent.
He'd be a monster if he like actually got a chance to settle in somewhere and play.
Yeah. He was Golden Boot not that long ago. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But having never played with him, as a player, I've watched him play. He hit this ridiculous goal against us when he was playing for Juve. Pissed me off because, we were up, and I think he tied the game. But it was stupid. It was like a half volley, side volley thing. I don't even. It was ugly for us, but fantastic looking for him. And I was sitting there going, "What the hell, dude? That's not even a thing." You probably can judge my reaction, just because that's what happens. But either way, he's been a phenomenal talent in the league. I still think that, and I would love to see him play. So hey, someday if you want to connect, we should. But at the same time, I don't know why he's on this list. Like, to me, he's been in League One a lot. He's jumped around. Like, again, who's making this list, Cage? Who's voting on these things, man?
This is a collective thing, man.
I'm just kidding. No, but I do think he's a very talented goal scorer. Much like RVP, which I didn't get to say anything about. They're both incredibly talented players. That's obvious. But I don't think that they belong above number 4, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that and ask you.
Tough. So it's Stone. Stone is number 4 on this list, and Stone is coming off of a Golden Boot championship winning team season, where he's been fairly consistent, dominating as far as goals scored. I think it's difficult to put him that low on the list.
I was gonna ask, is Stone?
I thought you benched him though, Exile.
Oh, stop it!
No, oh God,
He's not. He's less than available. So is Fuddy. Like, both of them. The hard part this season has been that juggling act at striker, and that's why I signed Vols. To be honest, like you have these 2 phenomenal players. I know, but for the rest of the league, they don't know. Okay, but Fuddy is out. Half the time. That's unfortunate. Stone is out half the time because he's taking that time to spend with his family while it's summer. And I get that. It's totally understandable. So if they're not in the lineup, it's not because they're being benched. I can assure you.
Right.
It is.
Absolutely.
These guys are. I mean, what did Stone put up last season? 32 goals or something stupid? It was
and
ridiculous.
Almost 20 assists too.
So I think that's a little unjust. But I also think that his place on this list is unjust. Not because he plays for me, because even if he were still at Benfica putting up those numbers, and people think that I don't like Benfica, but that's not the case. But in this case, he should be at the top of the list. I
think what you're seeing though is you and I probably voted a lot different than some of these other guys. Where as we're looking at a lot of criteria, they may have just said who's the top striker.
The current
skill,
know what I mean?
Current
skill, I think maybe that's fair. Maybe.
Right.
Because not to say that Stone has lost his skill, but he has prioritized Ultimate Team. And so he's in that Ultimate Team mode, and that's okay. But as far as skill right now, I could see this list being legit. But
look, Stone's been at the top for a very long time. When Benfica won their titles, he was there. When you won your title, he was there.
When Orlando won their title, he was
there. So I mean, if that doesn't now look, he wasn't number one on my list. I'm not gonna lie, but it's because I knew he wasn't playing much this season,
Right.
and that was it for me. But I mean, the guy, like I said earlier, for somebody else, he's a serial winner. Where he goes, titles follow.
Isn't he tied for the most titles in the league right now? Like if Madrid wins the season, wouldn't he be the most titled player? Most player with titles?
Yeah, I think
Most
Gato
Super
Bravo
titles?
had the highest, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look. Maybe Cassie.
I
Maybe
thought Kessie
Cassie.
had it,
Yeah,
but
maybe
I think
Cassie.
Kessie had it with 4, and Stone got his 4th last
Maybe it was team of
season.
the season that I was thinking of. I can't remember. I haven't looked at that thing in a while.
But still, Stone is up there with those guys. I believe he has 4. So to not have a, people might think it is a team game, obviously, but you still have to be a part. You have to do your part in that good team to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
And he's been, consistently putting up 20 plus, 30 plus goal seasons. And if that's not a number
He did have
one
one off
striker, that
season, but he didn't play. He didn't play much because he took the season off or something. So he was like a bench player for Orlando. But I mean, since then,
It was the
still
summertime league as well.
yeah,
It was
he
that
does
league.
that. I think that's what he does. Is he takes that kind of summer season off? Maybe I don't want to speak for him. I don't know, but that's what it seems like to me.
regardless, 4th place on this list
It's
is,
not bad.
we can all agree, not all right for him. He should be more towards 1 or 2, if anything. Another one which we might have conflicting feelings about is B God at number 5. Now, a lot of people, I guess people might not rate B God because he's been a Man United guy for a long time. Made a move to Ajax, Benfica, and then back to United. I think he does deserve a place on this list. Arguably, he also can get toxic at times, but people don't seem to realize it's in his name. He literally is a B God. He hits B and he scores. He might not be the best hold-up player, might not be the best passer, even though he gets a lot of assists. He gets goals. He gets you goals, and people, might not think of that because he doesn't skill, he doesn't do whatever, whatever. But the guy gets goals, and that's what you want from your striker, and he brings it. And Man United's in 5th this season or something. They were top 5, or they're close to top 5.
They just
That
dropped out.
they're around the area pretty
know what's
much, but
silly?
he's been a big reason for it.
8th.
You know what's silly? I never put together that his name was B God because he hits B.
Same
Like,
here.
I
just
when
realized
you
that.
just said that, I was like, oh wow, I guess yeah.
Oh,
I
come
guess.
on, man. You guys gonna put that together?
But
Here,
well,
here's the thing
because
that
I
I
know his
think
real
works
name,
against
so
B-God,
for me,
though.
I thought that was a play on that, and so I don't know.
The thing about B-God that I think works against him, I've known him for a very long time. Exile and I, as voters for Team of the Week, Team of the Season, we see that he's always up there with PER, stats, assists. However he's going to get there, he's getting there. He's got a ridiculous amount of goals this season for a team in 8th place. So to do that on teams that have never really been title contenders. Now, long time ago, Manchester United was a title contender. That's when him and Magic first got together. But this list isn't really going off of that. It was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
But for him to be doing that, you got to wonder, like, what if he had gotten a spot on Real Madrid? What if he'd gotten a spot on Orlando? We'd be giving him all this credit we're giving some of these other guys, Sometimes it just matters what team you get on. Now he does have a late night league title, so there's that, and I think a playoff one. I'm not sure. Fact checkers, fact
Royal
check me.
Cup of Benfica too.
But
I would put him on this list, honestly. I would.
Me too.
Like
he's one of those guys that just stays there. Doesn't matter where he goes, what season it is. He stays there. He grinds himself out, and he gets into the top list.
People didn't rate him a lot just because he's not one of the big name players, but I think he should be a big name player. Like, I just checked the stats because I just want to see how many goals he scored. The guy, out of Man United's 45 goals as a team, they scored 45. He has 30. Like, that's stupid. 15
already.
goals have not,
30
and the
already.
season's over.
Season
He has
still has
30.
10 games left.
15 goals have been scored by other people on his team, but he
he's-
scored 30 out of 45. Like, that's something crazy.
We need to audit their stats.
Yeah, we need to watch something because that's
Okay, I'll audit
crazy.
it.
But
CM9, get on the audit, please. Thank you.
Yep.
Just
but,
had it on my earpiece.
you can't take anything away from B-God,
Exactly
man.
though. Like and look, 8th place means they're not blowing teams away.
Yeah.
This means in hard-fought games, they have 4 draws, 10 losses, and 4 draws. That means 10 losses. They only have 14 wins. And he's putting up this amount of goals
That tells me that
while
they need
losing that many
defense.
games.
You put him on a team
35
like
goals against.
people just don't give him a chance. But you put him on a team with like players that he'll make him better. Like not that the guys around him won't make him better. I'm not trying to trash any of the Man United guys. They're good players. But like we all know, like
They're an
there's the
excellent
upper
team.
echelon. Yeah. You put him with like those guys, and I think you see this guy dropping like a 50 bomb or something, man. I really do. He just hasn't had that chance yet.
Yeah,
But
I would
look,
love to see it.
I'll get this is something people don't talk about often. I know it because I played with these guys in late night league a lot. Magic and B-God have been playing together so long and are still playing together. A lot of these groups break up. These guys know what the other one's doing before. Like they do this give and go that is virtually unstoppable at times. So, loyalty can take you a long way to scoring 30 plus goals.
Yeah, and it works
That's
for
exactly
him.
why Goatless has 30 a season.
30 goals a season?
Crickets. I'm just kidding.
I know. Yeah, it was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Yeah, those are our strikers, and that was our PCN's best of the best. Obviously, there are a lot on this list that we even disagreed about and conversed. So if you guys have other feelings about players you feel should have been on this, please make sure to let us know.
Section below. Put
Yeah,
it in the
use
comment
it.
section. Come on.
We read those.
Yeah,
'cause
don't
there's
use
only,
Discord. Don't use
Put it in
Discord.
the
Put it in the
comment
comment
section.
section.
Thumbs
only,
up,
like,
like,
3.
subscribe.
This will be
whatever
going
those
on the website too.
YouTubers say.
Please.
Like and
It'll go on the
subscribe.
website.
Smash that button. Whatever. I know I
Hit
said that
Patron.
like an old
I mean
man.
Patreon.
All
Patron.
jokes aside,
I would.
we do appreciate the feedback you guys give, so we'd love to see you guys drop it in the comments about any disagreements you have or players you feel should be added,
Yeah.
etc. We do plan the next podcast, or soon to come at least, will be an underrated and overrated players list, and we would like to get the community involved on that. So, more to come on that eventually.
Oh,
I'll be
I like that.
dropping sheets on that.
I can't wait to call out all the losers.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
on that
me
one,
too.
baby. Wait.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unlucky. No, that's
Average
okay.
player, but I'm still overrated.
I'm
Yeah.
not a player. I just crush a lot.
That's the plan though.
Wow, old guy.
In any news, that was our PCN podcast episode 10. As said, if you guys have any comments or concerns, let us know or drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
But other than that, this was your host Cage with nice. This was your host Cage with
Your
x19 and Cazbon. And we'll see you guys later. Take care.
Bye, everybody.